Live from the res here, special guest, Miss Summer Elliott of Manzanita. And we're here on a special assignment as we talk about missing murdered Indigenous people, missing murdered Indigenous women. We're kind of bringing it local to some of our local reservations. And so here we're honored to have the family of Mr. Forrest, as we know him in SY, O's. And Cathy, you take it away.
Hi, I'm Cathy Pico from Santa Ysabel.
All right.
I'm Jason Pico. I'm from Santa Ysabel.
Well, guys, it's good to have you guys here from the mountains. We're, those that don't know our region too well, we're recording here in Viejas Valley. But in our region here up in the mountains of Santa Ysabel, beautiful location, beautiful reservations up there. There's Santa Ysabel, there's Mesa Grande. They're all up there in the mountains, and they're known for the wood, for the beautiful scenery. They're known for, just people kind of being down to earth, knowing each other, about families. My wife's from up there, so I always have a lot of good things to say about Santa Ysabel. My dad's from Santa Ysabel, and so it's my second home for sure. And one thing I like about Santa Ysabel is you feel like everyone's kind of like family. You know people. You drive around, you see people, you kind of know everybody up there, whether you like them or not, or get along with them. I suppose they're part of your family. And when a member of that family goes missing, that's hard. That's difficult for a community, for a family, and it's our duty to look for that person. So today we want to talk about your brother, about your uncle, and spread some awareness about the issue, and more importantly, spread some understanding about him as an individual. And so your brother, why don't you tell us about him a little bit?
I said about my uncle. Just one of those people everybody liked. Get along with everybody in the community. Most people anyway. Hard worker, very hard worker. Always working no matter what.
He did everything for his son.
Mm-hmm.
Does everything for his son.
Wanted to be his whole life.
His name, O's, where did he get that name from?
Mom.
From her mom.
That was her little nickname for him, huh? Mm.
Ever since he came home from the hospital, it stuck with him. Until this day, it still is.
It took me a long time as a kid to learn his real name.
I saw the flyer come out, and I didn't know who it was, I just saw the flyer, and I shared it on social media. You see these flyers come around, you share them. And then I know that they were looking for O's up there. I heard people talking about that. And it took me a minute to put two and two together that it was the same person. I had to see I really looked at the picture. I said, oh man, that's the same person. So I'm used to the nickname. How long has he been gone now?
Since October 16th. We haven't seen or heard from him because he stopped by every morning before he went to work. And then we didn't see him no more. Then we went up to check on him. Nobody was at his house.
When did you guys know something was wrong?
When he wasn't coming around. Because like I said, he stopped by every day.
He worked a lot. When he wasn't working, he was relaxing. Watching movies, working in the yard. Why that's relaxing, I don't know. But, whatever it was he wanted to do, but it was his form of relaxation. If he wasn't doing that, he was working.
And he raised his boy, huh? What did he like to do with his boy? What kind of things would they do?
They'd go to the beach, take him down to the beach, take him to go different places, look to see things. Spent a lot of time with him.
You like to cook, or?
Oh yeah, he could whip up some commands.
Hey.
I'm a professional chef, and he's one of the reasons I am. My uncle could make anything out of anything.
Out of nothing. He's a good cook. Always doing stuff, working. His son is 3. He'll be 4 in December.
Has he said anything about any of this? Has anybody let him know? I'm sure he misses him.
Oh yeah, he does. We were up at his house to get him some clothes, and he just was walking around. He called his dad. He called O's son. He didn't call him dad. He called him son. So he's walking around this trailer. Son, I'm here. Son, where you at? Walking outside, yelling for his dad. Son, I'm home.
When you guys called law enforcement and they started to, were they the first ones you guys got a hold of, or did you guys call the tribal agencies first?
I got a hold of the tribal police first to see what to do, how to go about it. And then they contacted the sheriffs, and then gave them the information. That was it. Nothing was ever done. They didn't give us any of the help that they promised.
I've never gone through this experience of losing someone like that. That's immediate and having to take charge essentially of trying to find them. Do they come out and try to walk you through this process? Does law enforcement, or is there somebody that comes out and tries to explain to you what you need to do to try to find them, immediate steps that should be taken? You just kind of left there looking.
Yeah, we're just doing it as much as we could ourselves.
I mean, every case is different for everybody, so you can't really just say there's a certain process you got to go by.
Mm-hmm.
It's different for everybody,
Were there any signs that he may be leaving, or that he would be taken, or was there any clue? Did anybody have any ideas of why he might be gone, or why he might be missing?
No. Mm-mm.
It's completely out of character, really.
Yeah, he wouldn't take off like this.
So how long did it take for law enforcement to finally kind of hunker down and go and do a formal investigation and look and give you guys kind of some idea of maybe where?
We just been looking around ourselves for him on top of the mountain, taking flyers and hanging them out everywhere, down towards the desert, all that way. We checked all the spots that he would go to and stuff, nothing.
We've all been up and down that mountain many times, could wind up anywhere at any moment just because, so it's not like there's a path or anything. It's just very random.
All kinds of roads up on that mountain.
Who really needs roads either?
Yeah.
There's a message you could get to him. What would it be?
To come home, that his son misses him, and we're here to help you. Just want you to come home.
Do you have any ideas or that where he may be, or has the family talked about maybe anything? Like he said one time he wanted to go here, or he was stressed, he might go there.
He used to drive a trip across the country when he was younger. There's not many places he hasn't been.
He don't like to leave the res.
He's kind of, like we said, kind of a creature of habit. Doesn't really like change all that much. He wouldn't just, there wasn't anywhere he really wanted to go except for where he needed to go.
If you had to talk to another family who's going through something like this, what are some things you would tell them? If somebody lost somebody right now, what's something you might give them or suggest to them?
To ask for professional help, somebody that knows what they're doing on how to go about doing this. Because we didn't have no help at all.
Communicate with the rest of your family and everybody else that's trying to help. Make sure everybody understands what's going on.
Is there a message you could get, or you would like to get to the whole tribe, the whole res, to our region? If there was a message you could get to them, you're like, I'm saying help. What would that message be? Yeah,
we had hardly any help from our tribe at all, except a handful of people, which were immediate cousins.
You know what I'd like? I'd like for us not to have to ask.
Exactly.
That's what I'd like. I'd like the community that we live in, the people we live with, the people we call family, friends, the people we grew up with our whole life, to not to have to ask them for help like this. We shouldn't have to.
Right.
That's what our people are built on. And, that's what I would like. I don't want anything from them. I would like them to offer help.
Yep.
I want to say some of our council people or chairmans or anybody in leadership throughout our lands, it seems like a lot of them probably have not gone through this hardship, so they probably don't know how to come and help. Maybe they don't understand or process the right way to come and to provide service. And I think what you just said there is very powerful, because just to know that they could just come in and offer themselves in any way, how powerful that would be and how meaningful that would be. And maybe they didn't stop and think about that. Summer, you work in this field, dealing with families who need resource. What kind of resources are out there?
So a lot of people don't know, especially in Indian country, because like they said, when it happens, we don't know what to do. We don't know that there's resources. We don't know anything. So there's Cal Advocates for the Missing is one thing. Basically, the way it goes is we would reach out once we find out that somebody's missing, and usually that's word of mouth. So once we find out that somebody's missing, it depends on what area. For example, with OS, we would reach out to the family or whoever is the point of contact and let them know what we do. And so You can get professional help. There's many different organizations like Advocates for the Missing, and what they all should be doing is press releases. If you need press releases, organize searches, and have, you know, not only the Native community, but the outside community. There's lots of people that are willing to help volunteer and look. If you have the resources, if you have the funding, of course there's drones and search dogs that you can do. Not everybody has that type of money. But the main thing is to get awareness, get social media, get, you know, the news involved, because when you do that, everything spreads. You know, it's kind of like a trend. If something is hot, everybody picks it up, right? Well, you know, if you get this out there, that's the best way to get something to spread. And you don't want them to always just focus on a certain area, because you don't know the details. You don't know if he walked off. You don't know if he was taken. You don't know if he, you know, you just don't know. So we want it to spread. We want this to be not only San Diego County, Riverside County, Imperial County. You want it to go out there. There's also the sheriffs. You know, the sheriffs are supposed to be doing certain things. There's steps. They're supposed to enter him into NamUs. Then there's the DNA that you can get and put into the database system. Like I said, there's many different resources, but not everybody knows that.
What is NamUs?
National database, and it's not just Native Americans. It's everybody. Everybody.
Okay.
It's national. So there's men, women, children, and once it gets into that database system, basically the way it goes is if Ose was to be pulled over, if he was out walking or anything.
Red flag.
Yeah, so if somebody picks him up, if law enforcement stops him, normally they're going to run our name, right? And that would immediately pop up and say he's a missing person. If they find somebody on the road, somebody identified, you know, a decedent, a car accident, doesn't matter what it is.
Red light.
Yeah, and they can't identify the deceased person, they will check in the database. They'll run his DNA, his or her DNA, and usually there's a hit. And so NamUs is a great resource as long as people enter the information. But if you don't enter the information, or the information is incorrect, then it kind of narrows it. You know, like a lot of times Native Americans, the ones that are mixed, like me, we're light skinned, so automatically they would say, oh, it's a Caucasian person. Well, I've got ties in my community, and let's say I went missing or something happened, they'd be looking for a white person. You know what I mean? And they would put it down as a white person. Mm-hmm. So you know, that's kind of, every system has its flaws. That's definitely one of them within NamUs. But once the information is entered correctly, you can find him in minutes.
With those databases, I imagine DNA is something you put in some of this?
Yes, just like I was telling these guys, you know, once he's entered into NamUs, in NamUs, basically anybody can go in. You can go in, you can search this criteria: man, woman, race, age, it doesn't matter. And everything will pop up. And if somebody believes, let's say I believe that possibly, you know, somebody could be found in Ocotillo Wells where there was a body found, we can notify the law enforcement down there and say, hey, we have a family who believes that it might be this person, and they can run DNA and see.
I think too, sometimes, like, you see the MMIW, you see the women in the red dresses, and it's like a hot button amongst Indians right now. People talk about it. They do conferences on it. They do all of these things. But when it hits close to home, I think people sometimes don't connect the two. They don't think like, no, this is a missing, murdered Indigenous person. Like, this is that same issue. Like, everyone's sharing the issue, but this is it. It's in your own community. It's in your own back door. People are always thinking like young ladies, but like an older man, like a man can go missing too. And it's just as important that we look for them. We remember them, use those resources to try to find them, bring them home. Even myself, you know, I have this happen to my family, and I almost didn't think about it. I had my cousin go missing when I was a young kid, and right after, you know, high school, he took off, and he never came back. And my aunt went looking for him. Yeah, Coyote, my cousin Lone Wolf, went gone, and it was the year I lost my brother, so it was like I lost two brothers. And years and years later, you know, my aunt was still looking for him, and she brought him home. You know, he had passed on we didn't know at the time, but he had passed on that same year that he had left. And more than a decade later, she had located him through DNA, and they brought him home. And, we were able to do a ceremony for him and lay him to rest there in Santa Ysabel under his mom's tree right there. And she brought him home. And, I think about that, and I went through all the emotions and everything of that. He was like my big brother when I was a kid. But even I didn't even think about that as being that MMIP, that missing, murdered indigenous. It's like, no, that was my cousin who left, and he came back. He was passed on. To me, it was like it wasn't the same issue. It was something different. And so I think sometimes we forget that. We want to share these things. We want to share the flyer on social media. But it's like, these are real individuals. These are real people, real families. They're in our community, and they don't just look one way. It's not just, women. It's men also. It's not just young people. It's older people. It's people who are taken. It's people who have mental health issues. It's people who are dealing with all kinds of stuff. People who are fathers, and they have family and children that need them to come home. And so we have to remember all of that.
What got me into even knowing what Cal Advocates was I had a member of my family go missing. I had no idea. It was like, do I leave my house? No, because if they come home, I want to be here. But I'm just by myself. Like, what do I do? And it was a good friend of mine who actually introduced, who told me about Cal Advocates. And she didn't tell me, go call them. She said, I notified Cal Advocates. And I said, well, what is that? And she said, they're going to call you and they're going to talk to you. They're going to help you. And I was like, first off, I didn't want everybody to know, my business. And so I was kind of like, can you not? Can you not do that? I don't even know if this is a real situation, because you don't know. You have no clue what's going on. And when they reached out to me, it was, I'm impatient. And sometimes I'm snappy, especially if I'm stressed. I'm going to get irritable. And this person was calm the whole way through. Even when I gave, snappy answers, and I didn't give her the answer, she would go right back to it. And it wasn't in a way that made me feel like I wanted to be confrontational. Like, I calmed down. I wanted to answer her questions because I wanted to help. And then she told me what they did, and I was like, oh, wow. Okay, yeah, help me. Any way you can, help me. So 3 days later, my loved one was found. So after that, I was kind of like, this is what I want to do. I think that just like we had discussed previously, MMIW is definitely something that needs that recognition. Women are disappearing, they're being murdered, tons of things are happening within our community, and we weren't talking about it. It's happening at an alarming rate, but our men are missing too. And a lot of people tend to think that they're strong, they can take care of themselves. They're just out partying. They dipped out, they're with another girl, they're, whatever they're doing. But that's not always the case. And I know personally in our community, there's more men than women that are missing, that something has happened to them. And in Canada, it may be that there's more women than men, but it's not the same for all over. And so MMIW needs to have that recognition, but so does MMIP, Missing Murdered Indigenous People, because, our children, our men, and our women go missing.
Now she'd really like to now would be the time to just talk about it, and
Just wanted to come home and, let us know you're okay, or, we're here to help you. Just come home. Just keep your eyes open for him, and any information anybody has, turn it over to the sheriff.
Please.
Give it to the
Please
sheriff.
bring it to the family or something, if you got anything, even if it's a piece of string, it'd be nice,
Yeah, because they can't, yeah.
Big or small, it doesn't matter what kind of information, share it. Because that small information can just blow everything wide open.
It's really hard. The hardest part is not knowing. They hear it all the time, you hear it on TV shows, documentaries, and it really is. I mean, that's the hardest part about it all, And, any information at all, period, is what helps the best.
So we also have the Ranchita station.
Yes.
The San Diego Sheriff's Ranchita Substation, 858-565-5200.
Yes.
And they can reference. It's always good to reference the case number because that way it goes directly.
specific,
Yeah, it's
right,
more
it goes-
specific. And so the case number is 201-46703. And that's for Forrest Warren Ose. But also I think that, you can let people know anything, whether it's sharing if they can't go out into the community, share on Facebook. If you can't, do anything else, at least share. Because the internet, social media is worldwide, and it's definitely can get out there quick.
A lot of
It's
rumors,
not okay.
yeah, a lot of people quit looking, took down his posters because they said they found him and stuff, which
Yes.
isn't true.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Yeah,
take those posters down, it just makes more work for us having to go put them back up.
right.
So I think some takeaways here for me, just listening to this. One is that if you're a community member and you see something like this happen in your community, do not hesitate. Go talk to the family. Go see how you can help. Even if it's just being an ear or a shoulder to, to have someone to lean on, be there to help them. Even if the family doesn't know what needs to be done, be there. If you're a person of leadership, you should go, ask that family how you can help and, be there for the family. We all need to be there for each other. If you have no way to directly help a family, share this stuff on social media, share it. You never know, if you share it, one of your friends might get eyes on that picture and actually that might move something, that might make something happen. So share it through social media, however way you can. We can't forget these people. We have to continue to try to bring them home, and we have to continue to remember that they are someone's loved one. In this case, this is someone's father, and we want to bring him home and get him back to the mountain. He's got his nephew, his sister, his brother, all the different family up there, the community that wants him to come home. So with that, guys, I want to thank you for coming in and sharing the story a little bit, of what this has been like for you guys since October, and letting us know a little bit more about him as an individual. And hopefully someone will see this and maybe something will come from that. And we want to bring him home. So I also want to thank Summer for being here and giving us some more information. And we're going to be doing this ongoing for the next few weeks here. We have many families, sadly, in our region who have loved ones who are not home. We got to try to bring them home and do our part. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Live from the res.